This video was recorded live on TwitchTV. You can catch all of my live streams by going to twitch.tv/ConflictNerdTV and clicking the follow button. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Planet Coaster. Welcome back to Utopian Heights. It's been a week? Maybe two since the last episode? I don't know, I'm rotating my Let's builds at the moment and having a lot of fun doing it. Today, we're constructing 2 new buildings and 1 new plaza inside of Utopian Heights. The first building, this one in particular, took me a little while. I constructed this initially, it took me about 90 minutes to do. I looked at it and I realized it was very, I guess, Victorian in a sense. There were a lot of archways over the windows, and it just didn't look futuristic. It was obviously built out of the white and blue tile sets that we've been using, but in general, it just came across as very Victorian and didn't fit the theme at all. So what I wound up doing was deleting that building and starting again, and I wanted to build something that was sort of a futuristic combination of the Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building. And I think I sort of achieved that with my own twist to it. I also play around with a lot of color on this building, which was honestly a lot of fun. As we discovered last episode, these signs make for very good neon accents to buildings. So I sort of carried that through this building in numerous ways. I do the same on the second building, and the plaza is actually very similar in a lot of ways to the plaza that we built in the previous episode. I also carry a lot of the same roof styles that we came up with in the previous episode through to these buildings, albeit in a way that suits a skyscraper as opposed to a small 1 or 2 story structure in the middle of a plaza. That said, the plaza does have 2 little buildings in it that sort of conform to that style as well. It was just a lot of fun doing this. I took my sort of mentality with Let's Builds, which is take as long as it needs, to this project, and I took as long as I needed to build this, and I'm incredibly pleased with what the end result ends up being. I think it looks great, and as you saw at the beginning of the video, this was live streamed to Twitch, as I mentioned, in the, I guess, promo thing at the beginning. That's not something I'm necessarily going to be doing with every episode of this. I just felt like doing it on this particular one. I was recording this at 3 a.m. basically for 2 days. This took me about 2 days to build all of this. I was recording this at 3 a.m. and it was a lot of fun. A lot of people turned out, more than I thought. Anyway, I'll put it that way. It was 3 a.m. A lot of people came out to watch me play this, and we created some silly things. We created memes, basically. That was my 3 a.m. adventure on the second night of building these buildings, and that was very strange, but it was fun. People seem to enjoy it, so live streaming Planet Coaster might be something I get back into. And I would highly encourage you to come along to those streams if you see a video pop up that says I'm live playing Planet Coaster. I'm not just playing it for shiggles. I'll try not to swear in this, but you can understand what that means, right? It's not swearing though. I don't just play it for the sake of it. I don't just play whatever. I am building in those streams, and you can leave feedback then and there and sort of help shape these structures that we build. I should mention, once again, there are no rides in this particular episode because I didn't really have anywhere to put them. And that's something people have been questioning a lot in the live streams, is why don't I place rides? And this is something I don't know if I have addressed in a video before. I might have. I know I've addressed it on the streams, which is that this game isn't so much a theme park builder for me. It is much more of a, I suppose, a kind of just building game. I'm not really interested in the ins and outs of building theme parks. I just want to make things. I want to make structures and all that. I want to sort of build these interesting buildings and see what I can do with it. So building building roller coasters and rides is secondary for me compared to building structures and parks and plazas and all that stuff. So that's kind of my thing with this game. That's not to say I won't be placing rides. I absolutely will, but I'm going to be placing them in a very interesting way for this park. This park is heavily themed. You could argue that this is less of a park and more of a let's build a city in a theme park building game and see if it's possible. So I'm going to be using roller coasters as monorails or trams or whatever. They're not going to be built as rides. That said, there are obviously rides in the park. There are several. There is the sort of spinny ride that we built early on. There is the drop ride that goes down through a building, and there's the big, what do you call it? I've completely forgotten the name, but it's basically the Ferris wheel that we have going inside a building. I guess that one's a little more decorative. I guess you could compare that to the London Eye, couldn't you? Because the London Eye, I don't really think of it as a ride, the London Eye. I feel like it's more of a landmark. It's more of a spectacle. It's more of something you can go on and just see the sights. It's more of a tourism thing as opposed to just a theme park. Ferris wheels are very different to the London Eye, both in terms of how they're constructed and what their purpose is. I don't think of the London Eye as something you go on for a good time. Well, you get what I mean. It's a landmark less so than a ride. I think that's a fair way to put it. And that's kind of what I guess that wheel is inside the building in my park. That's the point I was trying to make there. As for the drop tower, I mean, it's obviously a ride. As for the spitting thing near the entrance, it's obviously a ride. But I think I am going to gear the rest of this build much more towards that realism aspect and use a roller coaster to simulate a train running through the sky, or a sky tram, or a sky monorail, or something like that. We'll see. We'll see how things go. But I do want to stress that I'm not treating this as a theme park, and that's why I don't place rides every episode. And I know people want to see those, but I have placed most of them, if not all of them, already in some video somewhere in my original Planet Coaster Let's Play, in the Pirate Valley Let's Build. They have been placed somewhere, and we've seen them already, and I'm not really interested in placing them all over again. Anyway, let's get back to talking about the build. As you saw, I put a spire on top of this building. Very pleased about that. We cut forward in time just there. There's going to be quite a few cuts in this video because this was a live stream project. We cut forward in time. I sort of did some more detailing to this building here and there. I got a bunch of lights into the building. I think detailed the top of it a little differently. And generally just changed up a couple of things to make the building look that little bit better. And I am just so pleased with how this building turned out. It actually ends up being the tallest building we have in the park, taller than the building with the drop ride in it, which was surprising. I didn't realize until I won't say stepped back, but until I flew back and looked at the building that it was in fact the tallest we have in the park, which I like. I'm also really glad it's not central, because I have a tendency to do that with landmarks in games in general. In city skylines, in parks I've built in Planet Coaster that you haven't seen, in Minecraft when I construct towns, in all sorts of games, I put the tallest structure in the center, and that can look really cool, but I'm glad that this one isn't. I think it just adds to the aesthetic of this place. I think it just makes it look a bit nicer, and I'm really pleased with it. I also love what I did with those sort of explosion-y sign things. I flipped them upside down, and I had the sort of curved pieces going in between the blue bars there, and it's a lot of color. It's a lot of pink, a lot of blue, a lot of yellowy orange, but it just works. At the end of this video, there is the very last cinematic shot in this video at the end is a long distance shot of both the buildings that we're going to be constructing, and you can see those glowing archways, and it looks so good. I'm so pleased with how they turned out. I really, really am. Anyway, it came time to add some windows to these archways here on the building. This is what I mean, by the way, or what I meant when I said that it sort of carries over some of the, I won't necessarily say Japanese, because once again, I don't know enough about Japanese architecture, but I feel like there are hints of Japanese architecture in this building. And that's kind of cool. That's pretty cool. This is also the point in the live stream just there when I was placing those windows, when Strict Toaster followed the stream. So, shout out to him. He is absolutely incredible at Planet Coaster and City Skylines, and I have actually been watching him for a really long time. I think about a year or so, over a year possibly. I've been watching him for a while. I was watching him, he took a break from YouTube for quite a while and then came back. I don't know when that was, but he's really cool. He checked into the stream, followed my Twitch channel. I noticed it like 5 minutes late and felt terrible. But yeah, go check out his channel. I think I have it linked in my featured channels on my channel page. If not, I will get right on that. But yeah, back to the build, I suppose. We're adding some lights to the spire on top of this building. I thought this was something I really, really wanted to do, and I think it looks absolutely excellent. I know they sort of overlap in a slightly ugly way, but from a distance, it looks fine. And that's kind of how I build the tops of these buildings. I sort of build them so they look good from a distance. Also, you may have noticed I was toying around with adding some very orange lights to what was effectively going to be the windows at the top of this building. I didn't actually do that. Again, you'll see that in the cinematics at the end. I was considering it because I thought the ones at the top of the building, the very top of the building, where it does have those orange lights, I thought that looked good, but then when I added it to that whole sort of spire section, I decided not so much. I realized it doesn't look as good as just having the sort of set around the very top. Now, this building here, for old time's sake, is just toilets. Yes, if you've been watching me play Planet Coaster for a while, you'll know that I do have a habit of placing a lot of toilets. So that's what that building is. 3 little toilet stalls. And that's it. That's the only building on that side of the... That was actually the only building I was going to put on that plaza. I do change my mind. I do sort of build... I think it's a structure that sells burgers and hats, possibly. I think it is. It sells burgers and hats. And I build it over a part of the pathway you can see me putting in this plaza. And this plaza is obviously different from the previous one because you can actually go up onto this plaza. Which is cool. I like it. I would also really like the option to have my pathways without the railings at the sides, even when they're raised up. I would like it for the game to go, oh, this pathway is on some roof pieces or something. We don't need the railings, because the game does detect when you have a roller coaster going over scenery and can take out the supports of the coaster. So it'd be nice if it detected that your pathway is immediately above or on a section of scenery / a prop, and then go, oh, wait, we don't really need the railing, it's right there. Or if it would maybe go one step further and be like, hey, it's exactly on a roof. We don't need the pathway itself. We'll just have the pathfinding or something. And then it has like a little, I guess, a marker that you can only see when you're in build mode or something like that. But if you're in like management mode or you're in sort of just viewing mode, you don't see the markers for the pathway. I'm not saying that'd be really cool, but that would be really, really cool. And I really hope they're going to do that someday. That'd be really nice. I do know that they tweeted a while ago. I think they're doing what do you call it? Ticket booths. You know the big kind of yellow archway thing? I think they're doing ticket booths without the big yellow archway and just sort of 2 bollards at either side, which is going to be so good. Because it means that we're not going to have the big ugly yellow archway in parks where it doesn't work. I'm so excited for that. What I'm also excited for is the day when we get more fountains. Because this squid thing here in my futuristic park really looks out of place. It really, really does. And I'm not a huge fan of it. But that's fine. It's all good. We have our fountain here. I think I make it sort of work. I think it looks alright and does a pretty good job of being a nice little addition to this area. I also hid some lights down beneath the grass and the shrubbery there. And I think that looks pretty good too. Not quite sure what else I do with the plaza at this point. I know I had those lights, but then we immediately get onto this, which is construction on the second building. And this building doesn't really take inspiration from that much. I guess this building sort of has a little bit more of a modern twist to it in a sense. It's still very futuristic in a lot of ways. But I just wanted to sort of give it this little bit more of a modern look to it as opposed to futuristic. So I kind of had this archway on it. I have some cutaway sections. I have this front balcony. It is very rectangular. It doesn't have a lot of curves to it. It does have some curved roof pieces, but you'll see it, at least to me, comes across as something of a more modern design as opposed to the ultra-futuristic stuff that we've been doing previously. At least, that's my opinion. You can be your own judge. But again, much like the first building, I love what we end up with here. You're not going to see me detail every single part of this building because at this point I was I think something like 700 or 800, I think about 850 gigabytes into my recording. And I'd spent 2 days building all of this. I'd got 2 buildings done. And I kind of just thought, well, I can show you the final detailing in the cinematics at the end, because the final detailing that you don't see me construct anyway is just windows and stuff like that. So it's nothing that was remarkably important for this building. You will see me put together the shapes of it. You'll see me put together sort of the roof piece and all that stuff, but the intricate detailing you won't necessarily see me doing in terms of just windows, but that's all right. That's fine. These things happen. You will see the building get constructed mostly. But again, yeah, it was a pleasant building to toy around with. I think it was actually a much needed break and change of pace from the building directly beside it, which was cool. I think it was cool. I really like it. Anyway, I keep saying the words, I really like it. So what's the plan for the future of Utopian Heights? Well, I think I'm going to try and up the pace at which I get things done. So I'm going to try and do more per episode and get this park done before or the day after Alpha 3 comes out, which is the 23rd of August, which is not far away. It is less than 2 weeks away. So I have less than 2 weeks to finish this entire park, which is purely just construction and building, and that's it. But, yeah, 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks is not a lot of time, especially since I do have a lot of other things to do. I'm in the process of getting back into Star Wars The Old Republic, and No Man's Sky is about to come out. So I need to get a lot of work done before I really get into those games. And I really want to get into those games. So that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be so much fun, getting into those games whilst trying to get a bunch of work done. Also, the trees you see me putting on top of this building do not stick around. I look at it from a distance and realize they're way too tall. Anyway, I've been rambling a lot. This video is very close to being over, so what I'm going to do is start to wrap things up. So ladies and gentlemen, like I said at the beginning, this was recorded live on Twitch. That is twitch.tv/ConflictNerdTV. It's always linked in the description. If you want to head over there and follow, that will let you know when I go live, blah, blah, blah. I also have loads of other social media stuff down there as well, but most importantly, the comments are down there. And if you have a suggestion for Utopian Heights, do feel free to let me know. But for today, that is going to be that. Thank you kind of for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.